Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Happy Friday, TGIF to all of you. How's it going? Never look back. D's Crafts, Fran Moyer. Jan, how are you? Good to see you. Yarn Preppers here. Coffee First Then Speaks. And there's JT. How are you, JT? Lisa Foster, how are you? Gina's here. Copernicus is here. How you doing, Copernicus? Good to see you. Michelle. Jeff Kozix is here. Happy Friday, brother. Suzanne Golette, how are you doing? Linda Bopp is here. Andy Brown, kid nurse. Jacqueline Johnson made it. How you doing, Jacqueline? Good to see you. Let's see. B. Walker, as always. How you doing, B? K. Paul, James Tyler, how are you? John from McBean Scottish Fitness is in the house. How you doing, John? Good to see you, brother. Never Look Back. Cheryl Fatigue from New York City. Escape from New York, Cheryl. Escape from New York. You all remember that movie? Was it Escape from LA or Escape from New York with Kurt Russell, I think it was. Really old movie. Pompa J, how you doing? Randy Brown. Let's see. You know what? I don't know, Lisa. I thought that they were doing one on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. I've lurked on a couple of them in the last few weeks, but they have been putting up videos of interviews and stuff. The last one that I saw that they put up, I was actually watching it, was the one where Eric was going over his get home bag, getting it ready for wintertime. Henry Luberts. Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, listen. Open forum today. Whatever you want to talk about, any questions, anything that we can cover here that you want to talk about, by all means, put it all in caps, okay, so that I can catch it. If you have a question, put the word question in front of it, in front of your question. That way I can be on the lookout for those. How you doing, Henry? Good to see you. Let me see. Tametito La Pinga. All right, then. Billy Bob, what's up? BR. Michelle G. Jean Eaton. Let's see. Wisconsin is relieved this week. Justice was served. Oh, I don't know what's going on in Wisconsin there, Yarn. Daniel Bast. How are you doing, Daniel? Grateful 67 is here. Let's see who else. Brian Del Gaizo. Gaizo, yep, from El Paso, Texas. Shelly, how you doing? Savage Lee is here. Steve Gray. Let's see. Randy Brown, how you doing? K. Paul, R. McGrath from South California, SoCal. Eric T, how you doing, Eric? Good to see you, brother. Say hello to the kids. Jesusita Morales. Man, you got me practicing my Spanish today. Debbie C. Me Too is here. How you doing, Me Too? Valentina Sanchez, how are you doing? From California A. Laura. Pink Panthers, purple, polka, dotted, prostate. I think sometimes you all come up with these names just so you can get me. Oh, goodness. Virginia Bryan, how you doing? Scott Hummer, hello, Lori, Sheila. Hey, Billy Bob, are you back from the mines yet? You back home? Jeep Girl. McDon Potato, Dad Built, Phillips Pats. Reppin' and preppin' all the way from Wisconsin. How you doing, Divvy? One Frugal Mama's here. Cheryl Fatigue. Oh, I already said hello to Cheryl. I gave you a 2-for-1 today, Cheryl. Girl for Freedom. I like that. Hello, Nikisha. How are you doing? The Rowe family says many blessings to you. Oh, thank you very much. Many blessings to you as well. Thank you for that. TX Carnot. How are you? Y2685 is here. Do not give up. Amen to that. Trooper 2121. Pearl Ellis. Jessica G. How are you doing? I'm just going to say Lisa for this one. All right. Hello, Lisa. And thank you for being here. Oh, Shelly, how are you, Shelly? Good to see you. The 49 State made it. How you doing? Becky Reed. Overwatch. Happy Friday to you, Overwatch, all the way from Oregon. Bigfoot Cooking, Scrap Metal Racing is here. Miss Blessed is in the house. How are you, Miss Blessed? Good to see you. Let me see. Hi. Hello, Cole. Cole is watching as well. And he turns 10 on the 2nd of November. Well, happy birthday. Happy birthday ahead of time. I almost said happy belated birthday. So hello, Cole, and happy birthday to you, even though it's a few days away yet. Leon, how you doing, Leon? Michael, how are you doing, Michael? All the way from Ohio. Glory to God, how are you? Welcome. Julie is in the house. Cornelia, how are you doing, Cornelia? Jeanette. Eric T has a question. How did you compare cost of electric versus fuel oil heat? You mentioned on previous live stream. Yeah, all I did was I just, for example, right now I'm running an electric heater in the bunker, and it's doing really well right now. Oh, you can't see the thermometer, but right now inside the bunker is like 61 degrees, which is perfect, to tell you the truth. I'm cold-blooded when it comes to how much heat I need. And it's only running at medium, so it's running at medium low. So it's running around 600 watts. And I believe it's about 5 degrees outside right now. All right, it's about 5 degrees outside. So running about 600 watts, I just figured it like if it was going to run 24 hours, 600 watts all the time, which it doesn't, because it's got a shut off where it shuts off once it hits a certain temperature, and then it turns back on once that temperature is lower than the temperature that is set at. So I figured it at the worst. So I took 600 watt hours and multiplied it times 24, which comes out to roughly 14,000 watt hours, or 600 watts, not watt hours, 600 watts. I multiplied it times 24, and then I multiplied that times the going rate per kilowatt hour here, which I believe is like, I think it's like 18 cents, unless it went up some. I think it's like 18, 19 cents, but I think I multiplied it times 20 cents, or not 18 cents. Let me see, 0.18. Yes, 18 cents. So I think I multiplied that times 20 cents and then multiplied it times a month, and then figured out how much my propane cost to run. And the electric is a little bit more than the propane, but the reason why I rather do that is I rather run the electric and pay the extra $20, $30 a month that it costs me to run electric compared to running the propane, because that way I always have the propane. And if something happens where, for example, let's say that halfway through the winter, we lose everything for whatever reason, right? Just making up a story here, right? Let's say we lose everything and we don't have any electricity, and there's no way that we can go get propane. Then at least I still have all of the propane that I started with in the winter, right? So that's the same thing that I'm doing in the house. In the house right now, I'm running a cup. You wouldn't believe this. I'm kind of amazed myself. But in the house right now, I've got a couple of small electric heaters. One of them is one of the ones that comes with like a entertainment center that came with like a little electric heater in the middle that has two settings. It has a medium and a high, or a low and a high. And the low runs at about 600 watts as well. And then I have another small electric heater on the other side of the living room. And I run both of those together so that I can save on the fuel oil, because I'd rather have the fuel oil on hand and pay the extra $20, $30, maybe $50 a month to run the electric, so that I can always have as much fuel oil on hand as possible. Now, running those two heaters, those two small electric heaters, 5 degrees outside, and actually this morning it was like -4 outside. But running those two heaters right now, when I came in the house, when I came out of the house to come to the bunker, I turned one of them off because it was 68 degrees in the house, and that's too hot for us. I was the only one in there, and I was kind of like taking a nap, so I didn't really notice until after I woke up. But it was like 68 degrees in the house, so I turned one of them off and left the other one on medium heat. And it'll probably come down to like 62, 64 degrees, and it'll pretty much stay there at this level. It's been hanging in there at this level, and I'm pretty amazed that, we're able to heat our house. It's not that cold. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have my Toyo turn on here, and when it starts getting in the negatives, but still it helps to preserve the actual physical fuel, right? And I rather have it on hand than to use it up and then something happen halfway through winter and I can't get a hold of anymore. So I kind of like doing that. It works pretty well for me. Plus, in the wintertime, I always budget for a high electric bill. I always budget for a high electric bill in the winter, because It always is. It's always double what I pay in the summertime, sometimes more than double. How you doing, Linda? Good to see you. Rick Massey, how you doing? Valerie, Michelle, Kelly, Patty Foot is here. How you doing, Patty Foot? Let me see who else. Casey, the other one. How you doing? Alphonse Jolly is in the house. How you doing, Alphonse? Good to see you. Single Dad Prepper is in the house. Another one from Fairbanks. How you doing, Single Dad Prepper? I remember you. I met you at Costco with your son, so it's good to see you. Surviving Behind Liberal Lines. How you doing? Let me see. NC, how you doing? Barnett. Tonette is in the house. Say hello to the hubby, Tonette. Ben Garcia is here from northern New Mexico. Mike Patino, how are you, Mike? R. McGrath, how you doing? Butch Graves, what's up? How you doing? All the way from Colorado. Green Country Agroforestry, how are you? Steve Gray is here. Terry Southern Plains. Let's see, who else do we have in the house? Let's bring it down a little bit. I'm falling way behind. Oh, as always, I am. Andrea Wimmer, how are you? Gypsy Flat, what's up? Let's see. Linda Bop. Let's see. Linda Bop, what do you have to say, Linda? Nutrient Survival is not going to be on until Halloween, and they are going to do a live on Thursday. Okay, cool. Oh, they're going to do a little giveaway, I think, for Halloween. Awesome. Ann Palmer from the great state of Louisiana. How you doing, Ann? I hope you had a good week. Carol Gaskins. Jim Vander Linden. How are you? From Iowa. Go Hawks. Rebel Acres. Chicky Pig. Gene Eaton. Karen 19. Wilderness Prep UK. How you doing? Let's see. Wilderness Prep UK asks, do you have a diesel night heater? I have what is called a Toyo stove, and it's a heater that runs off of fuel oil, which is pretty much diesel. It's just a refined form of diesel, all right? Or it can also run off of kerosene. It's kind of like all in the same family of distillates. But yeah, it runs, but it's not just a night heater. It runs on, it runs whenever I want it to run, I don't know if there's something that's just a night heater. Well, the thing that I think a lot of people are missing, and I covered this when I talked about that 25 days left of diesel, I talked about this on that video. And what I think is I hope that I'm right when I say this. I don't think we're going to run out of diesel, but I think that the prices are going to go up, especially in the next, 10 days. They'll start going up and up and up, because the oil is not going to be supplemented as much as it's being supplemented now by taking it from the Strategic Petroleum Reserves stockpile that we have. But what that 25 days left means, from the way I understood it, is that it's what's left in reserve, all right? So it doesn't mean that we're not making diesel on a day-to-day basis, right? It doesn't mean that we're not making it. We're still making it. But if we continue to ship our diesel overseas, then more than likely that's going to continue to be depleted. So only because, let's say 5 days ago said that there's 25 days of diesel left, I don't think it necessarily means that right now there's only 20 days of diesel left. All right, because we're taking a little bit out of it at a time, but we're still producing diesel. So if we continue to go down the same road that we've been going, eventually it will run out, the reserve will run out, and we'll only have what we're actually producing on a daily basis. So let's just hope it doesn't get to that point. And unfortunately, I think I talked about this on today's video. I think it's what I talked about that the government is now not considering, but that some advisors to the administration are telling the administration, the president, to nationalize the energy industry, which, if you haven't watched that video, go watch it, especially because I left you a link of a YouTube video about Venezuela, and they did that exact same thing, and it was the beginning of their downturn. The beginning of their downfall. That is the worst thing that we can ever do, ladies and gentlemen. If you have confidence in government and think that government is going to do a better job at running industries than what the private sector does, then by all means, go ahead and vote for it. Say, yeah, by all means, go government. Take care of our oil industries and run our oil industries. But before you make up your mind on whether you agree or not, go watch that video. And then more importantly, click on the YouTube video that I left on a pinned comment that talks about Venezuela. And towards the end of that video, they tell you exactly why it is that Venezuela is in the predicament that it is now. And it sits on the largest oil reserve in the planet. Venezuela sits on the largest oil reserve in the planet, and they can't even afford to pump their own oil out of the ground. I think that things are starting to turn around now for Venezuela for the better, at least a little bit. Not that much, but a little bit is better than nothing, right? But they've been in dire straits for the last, at least 10, 11 years, I think. I think that their big problems started around 2010, 2011. And then I think that was around the time that the oil industry in Venezuela was nationalized. We don't want that to happen. All right. How you doing, Tristan? Good to see you. But having said that, if we do have if we run out of diesel, man, I'll tell you what, you better have everything you need for a good while. You better have everything that you possibly need, because people in general, I believe, don't understand the ramifications of not having diesel. Someone may be driving around in a gasoline car and they may be like, oh, that's no big deal to me. I use gasoline in my car. No, man, diesel is so important for almost everything. I mean, anything that you can think about, diesel has a part to play in it. Russell Johnson, how you doing? Funky Prepper, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Sweet Sunshine. Let's see. Gene W, how you doing? Good to see you. Cornelia. Passionate Herbs is here. Misfit Mountain Farm, Kathleen Maddox. Campervan, how you doing? Rosemary Sorg, Beverly D. Happy Friday to you, Beverly. AJ, how you doing? From Norwich, Norfolk, welcome. Green-Eyed Monster, Terry Moorhead. Let's see. Pampa J question. Don't you find it odd that Nancy P's H? Don't you find it? Are you talking about Nancy Pelosi's husband? I guess they got intruded on or something and he got beat up. I didn't really, I mean, I saw the headline, but I didn't read the article. I could care less about what happens to any of those people. I don't wish them any harm, but I could care less, to tell you the truth. So I don't really know how to, I can't answer that question, I guess. Scrap Metal Racing. What's the best way to hook up multiple solar panels? Well, you know what, Scrap Metal Racing, what I do, I know that you can hook them up in series where you can actually charge your solar generator faster as long as you don't surpass the number of volts that specific solar generator maxes out at. I think that the Opus maxes out at like 25 volts, which means that you can hook up to 2 solar panels in series. When you hook up solar panels in series, it means that a solar panel is automatically 12 volts, right? Well, most of them are. Those are the only ones that I deal with because they're simple, right? They're 12 volts. But if you hook them up in series, it means that your voltage adds up. So if you hook up 2 12-volt solar panel in series, now in the other end, you're going to have 24 volts coming out, all right? And if you hook them up in parallel, which is how I like to do it, then it stays 12 volts. It doesn't matter how many solar panels you hook up, you're still going to get 12 volts out of the other end. Now, depending on the input capacity of your solar generator would depend on how many solar panels you would want to hook up in parallel to get the maximum input from that solar panel array, right? So, for example, the OPS, the 2400 has 2 solar panel connections, all right, for each Anderson and the 5909 8mm. So let's say that we're talking about the Anderson connectors. Each of those connectors will take, I believe, is 480 watts each, right? 480 watts each. So if you take 10 solar panels and connect them in parallel and hook them up to one of those connectors, it's only going to take 480 watts. So there comes a point where you're really wasting the other solar panels that you've got connected to it. All right. So I would rather do it in parallel. And this is why I rather do it in parallel. Number one, it's simpler. You don't have to do any math. All right. And number two, I personally believe that the slower that you charge a solar generator as far as its capacity, that the better that it is for the battery. Same thing when you drain it. The slower that you drain it, the better that it is for the battery. Not saying that you can't drain it fast up to the capacity of the inverter that it has. So let's say it has a 2400 watt inverter, all right, like this one does. There's nothing wrong with running it at 2400 watts, you know, as continuous, because that's what the inverter can do. But the slower that you drain it, the better that the battery's life will extend, the better battery life it'll have. You know what I mean? It's like better for the batteries. You know, you don't want to, it kind of like wears them out the faster that you drain it and the faster that you charge it. So I feel that the slower, the better each way. So let me see. I think that answered your question, Scrap Metal Racing. So in my opinion, the best way to hook them up is in parallel and not to exceed, obviously, the maximum capacity, because if you do, you're just going to be wasting that extra solar panel that you're putting on there. Yes, indeed, McBean. Every day is a good day. Indeed. South Cowgirl, how you doing? Josephine, how you doing? Sunshine is here. Alicia. East Tennessee Preparedness, how are you? Black Girl Ting 96, how are you doing? Morse Venture Channel, how are you? Prepper 007. How you doing, Linda? Let me bring it down. I'm looking for some question. Hey, Big Bad John is here. How you doing, Big Bad John? How's your son doing? I haven't seen him around in a while. USB Phillips, how are you? Just moved the cows to the barn for the night. Awesome. Andrea Wimmer. How you doing, Teresa? Wilderness Prep UK, good to see you. Adriana Cata, Shy Moment. Let's see. Oh, goodness. Dave Simmons, how you doing? Oh, good, man. Good that you're home. Hey, Billy Bob, you're going to be home for Thanksgiving, aren't you? Do they even close that mine during Thanksgiving and holidays like that? How you doing, Lori? Good to see you. Gerda, I don't think it is personally. It could be that it doesn't last as long as they say. But the thing is that I've seen a lot of YouTube channels. Man, I always forget the name of that YouTube channel. Really cool guy, him and his wife. The guy that looks Amish and he always wears the hat. I always forget his name, but I watch their channel all the time. I'm just not good with names. But they've been using a Berkey forever, and I've never heard them complain once, you know, about their Berkey. You know, so just do your research. You know, if you saw the last live stream that I did, I showed you the let me see, do I have it here? Yeah, I showed you how you can just get your own system. If you get a small bucket like this and drill a hole in the bottom where you can put in a water filter right here, what you can do is you can spend like $10 on 2 buckets and 2 lids, drill one hole, put your water filter in, right? But just buy one water filter of whatever system you're thinking about buying. So if you're thinking about buying a Berkey, then just buy one water filter, do that with the buckets. That way you can test that water filter out and maybe take a sample of that water that filters through it and send it to a lab. It's like between $7 and $20, I think, for a lab to test your water. And then if you're satisfied with the results, then you know that you can go ahead and spend the money on either getting the entire system or stocking up on more filters and just going with the bucket system. So that's what I would do if I had any questions about it. Me personally, I feel comfortable using a Berkey. I've seen what I think is enough evidence that would allow me to be comfortable with using that water after filtering it through with Berkey. But like I said, it is you, ladies and gentlemen, that will live with the consequences of your decisions. If I'm making the wrong decision by using a Berkey and then something happens, I have to live with that, right? My family has to live with that, not you. Same thing around. If you make that decision, you have to go ahead and do whatever makes you feel comfortable with using that product, because if you don't feel comfortable with using it, then, you know, it's going to be pretty stressful for you to use it if you ever need to use it. Hey, hello, Gene Eaton. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Let's see. Hill Country Prepper, how you doing? Raka Mas is in the house. Who's your mom is here? Prepared Suburbanite, how you doing? My Prepper Journey. Who else do we have in the house? Elbow cow. That's funny. I know you were trying to put some kind of an of a emoji on there, John. How you doing, Steve Gray? PJ Kentucky, how are you? Mama Bear. Showtron Munitions, how you doing? Nasty weather up here on the slope. You know what? It's really nice outside. Very, very nice outside. I even did a little bit of a recording outside early this morning when it was still really dark. Actually outside walking around the property on a video that I got coming up. It's cold, but it's nice and crisp outside. It's not snowing. Everything is looking good. So don't be sending any bad weather our way, okay, Showtron? Long Dog is in the house. Let's see. Hello, Matt. Good to see you. Oh, goodness. Golden Diver, how you doing? Look, everyone's saying hello. Everyone's saying happy birthday to Cole. Let's see. How you doing, Lori? Amazing Grandma is here. Let me see who else. I know I've got a few questions I think I might have missed. Oh, I'm sorry, YTU. I will never leave Alaska. When they get rid of the TSA, then I'll think about it. But I'll never leave Alaska. This is it. This is my last stop. Oh my goodness, 65 is I can handle 65, Shy Moment. I can handle 65. I prefer around 63. It's like perfect. But to tell you the truth, right now it's 61 degrees in here. It's perfect. All right. What I do is I do have a fan. All right. I have a fan up on the ceiling and I put it on the winter mode where it keeps the heat down. So it throws down the heat, which is really good. And I keep it on low. I keep it on low, and that seems to do a really good job. How you doing, the Prepping Mantis? Good to see you. Yeah, you know, those Michelin wiper blades, I really like those. I think I should probably go back and buy a few more. I probably have about, I don't know, about 2 pair for each of my vehicle, but we definitely go through at least 1 pair every single year, right? Because the winter just tears them up. So I should probably go buy a few more. Savagely, I thought you said -30 to -60 is perfect sweater weather. I was like, man, I don't know if I take it that far, but you meant 30 to 60 above. Oh, cool. That's good. All right, grandbabies La Rosa, that's awesome. You'll love this solar generator. It's a great solar generator. But and you know what the funny thing is that Opes is having a Halloween sale on the Opes website, and I went ahead and took a look at the links that they sent me for the sale. But the thing is that the links that they have, the discounts that they have on sale, I think is starting today through like the 3rd or something like that of November. The links that they have, none of them are better than the ones that I have all the time. So like they have a link for a sale for 10% off of everything on the store. But I have a code that gives you 15% off everything in the store, except for the 2400. And the reason they haven't done that is because it's kind of tough keeping them in stock because so many people are buying them. But I was like, I'm not even going to put up the links that they gave me because none of their sales are better than my regular links. So, but they are having a sale now. But I didn't really mention that because I'm like, you know, the links that I have now are better than the ones that they're doing for the sale. But I work pretty hard to try to get those permanent links where you can get a good discount. That way you can get them whenever you want. They wouldn't give me a permanent 10% off link for the Opus 2400 though. I was like, come on, give it to me so people can get it at a decent price. But they did enough, I think. I think they did enough. They did a good job in at least giving me that because I just asked for it out of the blue and they're like, yeah, we'll do it. Jacqueline asked, Rudy, is blackout curtains better on the inside window or on a curtain rail on the outside? No, not on the outside. Just put it on the inside. That's how they're made. Yeah, just keep them on the inside. That's what they're made for. I would never put them outside. And to tell you the truth, I don't really use blackout curtains. I use one right here. All right, on this one. Well, it's not even a blackout curtain. So, but in my house, I don't use blackout curtains for my bedroom. I'm just used to it. I'm used to the light during the summer. I have no problem going to sleep while it's light out. Hey, how you doing, Michelle or Michael? Michael, why did I call you Michelle? Michael, well, say hello to your daughter for us. Thank you for being here. Misfit Mountain Farm, how you doing? Good to see you all the way from Virginia. Yeah, that could be. Well, you know what? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, Band Again. So Band Again says millions will starve because of this president, and it's an act of war. You know, talking about the Nord Stream 1 and 2. All right, I won't get into that and anything like that, but I was actually reading something on on Europe or the EU and how much gas they have stockpiled. And what I was reading is that they have enough stockpiled where their reserves are almost full. They're like at 92%, and they have several ships waiting offshore that are full of LNG. And they were saying that they have enough right now to get them through like the middle of January or so, which is usually like the coldest part of the month. So let's hope that they can get enough in to continue to refill those reserves as it's being used. All right, let's hope that happens. That will be great. And then what that will do is if once the EU gets through this winter, this is going to be a tough winter. But once they get through this winter, then they have the next several months to try to come up with a solution to better equip themselves for the next winter. I think it's going to be a very, very difficult winter, not only for the EU, for the EU mainly, but for everyone around the world that relies on heat, that relies on fuel to heat their homes. It's going to be a tough winter, either one because of scarcity, like what's happening in the EU, or another because of price, which price can induce scarcity also. It's almost a way of rationing. The higher the price, the less that people can buy because they can't afford it. So it's going to be very tough. I just pray that people will make it through it. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of deaths involved, and that's unfortunate. It really is. But I mean, I think that if you prepared, there's so many videos out there. I just saw a video out there on YouTube. I think it was early this morning, where this guy made a heater that heated like a 2-bedroom home with lamp oil and wicks, and he used a can. Anyways, people think of things when you need something, people come up with ideas. I'm going to recreate the video that I did last year where I used my Coleman chandeliers to heat the bunker. And this time I'm going to try to stay in here for as long as I possibly can. So I'll probably do that video or record that video when I come into the bunker on one of those mornings where I wake up early and I come in here like at 2 o'clock in the morning, and try to run it from 2 in the morning all the way to like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning for like a good 8 hours straight. Because I'll never leave the bunker. If I have a candle burning in here, I'll never leave the bunker, not even for a minute. All right. So I'm going to try to recreate that video so that we can get some really good footage as far as you being able to see exactly what temperature it is outside, what temperature it was inside when we started the experiment. Because I believe that if I do that same experiment that I did last year with the 2 candeliers, and it's like between 0 degrees and 10 degrees, I believe that those 2 candeliers will keep it above 60 degrees in here. Because if you all remember last year when I did that, it kept it at about 60 degrees, and it was negative 26 outside Fahrenheit. So, I think that is a great way to get emergency heat. And when I mean emergency, it's like life and death heat for your average person out there that may need to get supplemental heat this winter. Do you have any live animals that you can eat in an SHTF? No, but there is a lot of wild game here, if that's what you mean. I don't have any chickens yet. I'm hoping and praying next year. We'll see. I do want to get some goats just because I like the way they look. I want to get some pigs because I like the way they taste. And I do want to get some quail. And I definitely got to get some chickens, but not domesticated, or like farm animals. But there is a good amount of wild game around here. There really is. I mean, we see moose all the time. I do understand that during a very bad crisis, like an SHTF of whatever kind may come down our way, that everyone's going to be looking for that moose, right? But if you have a small community amongst yourselves, and you can always make an agreement that, hey, whichever one of us catches something, we can share it, right? As long as the community is small enough where you can actually share it. When you're talking about a community of 3,000 people, it may be a little bit difficult. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that I got a couple of super chats, and I really want to go ahead and answer those because I don't like to wait that long. I consider it a little bit disrespect when I do that. And I really feel bad for you all that do a super chat and then it takes me half an hour to answer it. But I haven't seen any questions yet, and I'm passing by. So I'm looking for questions. Hey, how you doing, Stephanie? Penny Willis, how you doing? All American Preppers in the house. How you doing? Good to see you, brother. I'm still going down looking for questions. Okay. You're welcome, Darlene. And thank you. Thank you for asking a question. Don't be afraid to ask a question no matter what, because you may ask a question that maybe 100 people may have wanted to ask but didn't ask. Well, I think Doggy Mama asked, what is the biggest prepper mistake that you have made? I think that the biggest prepper mistake that I have made, that I've done it several times, is getting too much of something without trying it first. Like the first prepper food I ever bought, it wasn't rice and beans. It was freeze-dried foods. I did it backwards. But, I had just started prepping and I didn't really know much about prepping. So I bought too much of one thing. And a big prepper mistake that I think a lot of people make is that they'll buy equipment. You see, I don't believe that you have to buy stuff that you need now and because it's a prepper item. For example, if I buy a pressure canner, right, but I'm not going to be doing a lot of pressure canning all the time. I just buy the pressure canner because I want to learn how to use it and keep a stockpile of lids and jars in case I ever need it, because the electricity goes out and I need to put my entire refrigerator worth of meat into jars. Then I consider that okay, that you buy something that you're going to use for preparedness purposes, but you have to learn how to use it. So don't just buy it and put it away in case you need it. Buy it and use it and learn how to use it. And then after a few times of using it, after a few cycles, let's say, when you feel comfortable with using it and you know all the ins and outs, then if you want to put it away and put it in deep storage and use it for what you initially intended to use it for, in case something major happens and you have to pressure can an entire refrigerator's worth of meat, then go ahead. But don't just get prepper gear and let it sit idle and never use it. Always learn how to use what you get. That way, when you need to use it, you'll feel comfortable with using it, and you will feel comfortable with using whatever it is that you made with it, be it canned meat that you put in a canner, or be it using a tool because you need to make fire or something like that. Don't just buy stuff to buy it and throw it in a corner. Make sure that you use it. If you want to throw it in a corner after you use it because you're comfortable with it, by all means, go ahead. You know you have it. You know where it is. You know how to use it. All right. Funky Prepper, can you recommend a good wind turbine? I have a wind turbine, but I haven't put it up. Just like most of my solar panels, I haven't put up yet. And you know what? I'm sorry, Funky Prepper. I can't recommend a good one. I wish that I would have used the one that I have up to now, but I haven't. I've been waiting for my property back here to get leveled off, and it pretty much is. I have one more summer of bringing in fill, and then that's pretty much going to be it. I've been waiting to do that before I put up my solar panel array and my little wind turbine that I think would be great during the winter here. So I cannot. Okay, let's see. Scrap Metal Racing. Okay, I'm fixing to buy a solar generator and just bought 2120 watt. Okay, I think you're saying you're fixing to buy a solar generator and you bought, oh, scrap metal racing. Okay. You bought 21. I think maybe you meant the 2132 or something like that. Yeah, you know, Pampa J, I was thinking about that too, about that Pelosi guy that got beat up or something like that. I think they had, aren't they supposed to have security anyways? So I don't know. I don't get into any of those things really too much, but you know, I just keep it to myself whenever I do read that stuff. How you doing, Navia and James? Good to see you. Yes, Doug and Stacy. That's how far behind I am. Oh, Shilton Munitions. I'm sorry, brother, for taking so long. Prepping is getting to be, yes, it is, but at least I have a few square feet left in the apartment for a very patient wife. Good. Thank you very much for the blessings, by the way. And yes, prepping is getting to be very expensive. It's getting to be expensive, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, right? We've been talking about this for a while, and trust me, I'm the last person that's going to tell you, I told you so. I wish I could be wrong. I wish I'd have been wrong saying that inflation is going to come and it's going to start going up and up. And the unfortunate thing is that it's going to get even worse from here, right? Inflation is going to get worse from here, even with the Federal Reserve tightening, right? Because they will never tighten as much as what they need in order to quell inflation. They can't. They cannot do it. If they do it, they will collapse the entire financial system of the world. If the Federal Reserve got interest rates, the Federal Reserve fund rate, if they got it above what the official inflation rate is, which I think now is around 8.1, 8.5%, can you imagine them bringing up the federal funds rate to 8.5, 9%? That means that mortgages would be 12, 13, 14%. It would collapse the entire world economy if they did that. So they will never quell inflation. As I've stated before, inflation is the song that never ends. We will continue to see inflation henceforth unless they do destroy the economy. And I'm pretty sure that the Federal Reserve has no problem with destroying our economy and making most people poor. In my opinion, that's one of their end goals, is to make most, if not all, people poor. Oh, there you go. Hector Prepper, how you doing, brother? I've been using a Berkey type filter for 2 years without problems on my well water. There you go. You have to use what's best for you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, bring it down. Question. Let's see. Henry, do you have any life? Okay, you see, that's how far behind I am. I've already answered that question. You two, Y2, any suggestion for a food crop to grow in front flower bed of my house? Yes, it's weird. Why waste? You know what? I love potatoes. I love growing potatoes. So I would say grow what you like the most, that is as calorically dense as possible, right? So if you like potatoes, grow potatoes. If you like sweet potatoes, I'm talking like if you're looking for a little spot to fill, right? If you like sweet potatoes, grow sweet potatoes, right? Grow whatever is the most calorically dense that you like, that you and your family enjoy, right? And I would do something that's hardy, right? That can take a little bit of weather, right? So thank you, by the way. Yep, absolutely. The Cajun homestead, you make a great point. Before you go ahead and put swamp, we all watch the YouTube videos where somebody takes really dirty swamp water and pours it in a brand new Berkey filter, right? Yes, you can do that, but obviously in real life, IRL, make sure that you filter all of those nasty things out of it the best that you can before you put it through your filter. It's going to extend the life of your filter. And there are ways to clean Berkey filters that will give them a lot more life. There is a YouTube video out there on how he back flushes it, and he uses a little bit of vinegar, and he says that it extends the life by multiples. So you can look at that as well. How you doing, Dave Simmons? Good to see you. Marion, how you doing? Psychedelic Hippie, how you doing? First live stream. Welcome, Psychedelic Hippie. Good to see you here. Cloud Jumper. Let's see. How you doing, Philip Mullis, all the way from South Carolina? Good to see you. I'm looking for questions, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Jacqueline, we've covered that. You can get a TDS. I always forget what that stands for, but I call it parts per million, a triple P tester. It'll tell you how many parts per million of any particulates that are in there. I do believe that they sell pH testers and stuff like that, but if you're that concerned about your water, I would just go ahead and filter it and send it to get tested, and they'll let you know what's in it. Let me see, Matilde, if you live in Europe, what would you be prepping focus on right now? Thanks for all that you do. Thank you very much. If I lived in Europe, well, being that I don't live in Europe, I probably can't answer this question very well. But the truth of the matter is this: wherever you live, you need to prep those things that will sustain your life first and foremost. So, for example, right now in Europe, from what I understand, you guys are having a really bad crisis with natural gas and fuels, right? Energy. So how are you going to heat your home this winter? Because you do need heat in order to live. All right. You need food, you need water, you need heat and shelter in order to live. Those are some of the things that I like to call biologicals. You need those things. So those are the things that you should be prepping first and foremost, as much as you can, as much as you can sustain yourself. So if you live on your own property, and let's say, for example, you use wood to heat your home, stock up on wood. Get as much wood as you possibly can. If you cover wood with a tarp or something, or have it under cover, it'll last more than a couple of years, right? You don't want to let it sit there for 10 years, because eventually it will be not good for burning, but it'll last several years if you keep it covered, and you keep bugs and stuff away from it. Like I don't know if they have termites in the UK, right, or in Europe. But you know what I mean? Just take care of it and get as much as you can. For example, here in Alaska, heating is a very big deal. So I try to stock up on as much heating oil as I possibly can on my property. And I try to supplement how much heating oil I use by using electricity whenever we have electricity available. So in Europe as well, from what I understand, you're going to have like rolling blackouts in parts of Europe. If you know that you're going to have rolling blackouts, maybe, I don't know if in Europe you can get those solar generators like these guys. I don't know if you can get them, but it'd be nice to have one hooked into your wall outlet all the time, making sure that it's charged. And then when you do have that rolling blackout that's going to last 3 or 4 hours, you can plug in those things that are essential to you. Like if you have a refrigerator or a freezer, or if you have a heating appliance that does use electricity as a peripheral, like for the rat cage, or for the computer board or something like that for it. So those are the things that you really need to be prepping. I couldn't say, what you should be prepping for specifically in Europe, because I just don't live there. But I would assume that, the biological needs of anyone in Europe is the same as they are for anyone else in the world. So you just have to stock up on those things that you know for a fact that you're going to need. If you know for a fact that you're going to need it, and there's a chance that's going to be in short supply, or it's going to get so expensive where you can't afford it, then get it now if you can, or get something that can replace that if you may lose the use of that. Like, for example, if they shut off your gas. If you heat your home with natural gas and they shut it off, there's nothing that you can do about that. But do you have a wood stove as a backup? Do you have a propane heater as a backup? With propane canisters or cylinders. Okay. All right, let's bring it. Oh, Brian Baca. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for that, Brian. You're too generous. I appreciate that. Pampa J, has anyone ever told you every time you laugh? Oh, that's awesome. Well, hey, I hope that it's yeah, you said it's infectious. I hope so, because everybody needs to have a good time now and then. Let's see. I don't try to come on here, ladies and gentlemen, and just make everything like the world is falling. I know that, I mean, this is a prepping channel, right? If everything was perfect, right, I would still be saying, hey, you need to prepare. You need to prepare for this because everything is not perfect all the time. But I don't try to come on here and bring you down on purpose. Like whenever I talk about things that may be coming that we have to prepare for, it's because I am doing it myself. I would never tell you, hey, this is happening and you need to prepare for this, and maybe like, I just wanted to make a video. I don't care about that. No, I would never do that. If I'm talking about something with you, it's because I myself am preparing for it and see that it could happen in the future. But when we get together like this, I really like to have a little bit of fun. And this is a lot of fun for me. Going back and forth with you all, it's a lot of fun for me. And I appreciate you being here for that. Young Prepper, your car just turned 77,777 miles. That's awesome. All right, let's bring it down a little bit. I'm looking for questions. I'm not just scrolling through to get through. I am looking for questions. But if I miss one, try again. Hey, Todd Hendricks, how are you doing, man? Good to see you, Todd. I haven't seen you in a little bit. Awesome. Hello, SJ Mullen. How you doing? Janice Holloway, how you doing? Let me see. Moore's Venture Channel, how are you? Well, how do I think natural gas will go up? Well, one of the reasons why I think it will continue to go up, Who's Your Mom, is for two reasons. Inflation is going to continue to go up, all right? Excuse me. So you remember the stimulus checks a couple years back? That's what we're experiencing right now, is all of those stimulus checks. Give me a second. Sorry. Right now, that's what we're experiencing, is all those stimulus checks as far as inflation goes. Yes, there is a part of the inflated prices that has to do with supply demands and with the shipping of things. There is a part, but a big part of it is definitely all of the extra money that there's in the system, making the value of your dollars go down, right? Well, that's what we're experiencing right now, is the inflation that happened a year and a half ago or so. But since we've been inflating the money supply with all of these bills that have been passed for 2 trillion here, 3 trillion here, 1.3 trillion here, those still haven't caught up to us, but they will catch up to us. Inflation will continue to go up, and once they stop inflating, like right now, they're tightening right now. The only thing that tightening is doing, meaning that they're not adding any more money to the supply in the economy. They're actually trying to pull some back in. The only thing that that's doing, it's not quelling inflation. What it's doing is hurting the economy, because we live in a debt-based monetary system and credit-based monetary system, which means that most businesses, not 100%, but most businesses rely on credit. So being that they're tightening right now, it's a lot harder for businesses to get credit because the interest rates are too high and they wouldn't be able to afford those interest rates because they're too high. So it's hurting businesses. It's not really quelling inflation any. Now, what the Federal Reserve wants is they want the economy to get so bad that people will stop spending money. But what's it going to take for that to happen? For a lot of people to lose their jobs. And if they lose their jobs, what else goes with that? They lose their homes. If they lose their homes, they lose their cars. That's what the Federal Reserve actually wants to happen, is that Americans in general get a lot poorer. That's the only way that inflation is going to come down, is when Americans get a lot poorer and they just can't spend. But right now, there's still so much money in the system from all of the money printing that they've done that we still haven't seen the end of inflation. So we still have a ways to go. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better. However, ladies and gentlemen, that's why we prepare, right? We prepare to get from point A to point B. This crisis will not last forever. I believe that once this crisis is over, if we're still sitting with the same type of government that we have now, that they'll just continue to create crises, because the government cannot stop printing. As soon as they stop adding debt, not necessarily printing, but adding debt. As soon as they stop adding debt to our debt, to our national debt, the system collapses. They cannot stop. I did a video, I think it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, where I showed you that every president, I think I started with George Bush Jr., right, with Jr. When he was president, he brought up the national debt by $4 trillion, all right? And when Obama took over, by the time that Obama was done being president, he brought up the national debt by $8 trillion in 8 years. So Bush brought it up $4 trillion in 8 years. Obama brought it up $8 trillion in 8 years. And then when Trump came about, he brought it up $8 trillion in 4 years, right? So it's pretty much the same as doubling it. So you can see that it's been doubled every single time, every president. It doesn't matter what president is in there. They have to continue to add to the debt. And so far with Biden, he hasn't even been in office 2 years, and he's already added $5 trillion to the national debt. Like I said, they have to continue to add to the national debt more than their predecessors. If not, the system collapses. So that's why I say that inflation is the song that never ends. It will never end. When it ends, it's because the system has collapsed. Savage Lee, no, they won't do that. Unfortunately, it'll probably be one of the YouTube channels, like myself, that covers that. Yeah, because the mainstream media is not going to go out there and tell the masses exactly what's going on. Because again, remember, the goal is to keep us separated, to keep us divided, to keep us fighting with each other. That's the goal. Okay, we're bringing it down some because, man, what is it? Oh, my goodness. You guys get me to talking. You get me to talking, ladies and gentlemen, and that's it. All is lost. Yes, you can, Michael. Absolutely, you can definitely do that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about alternate heating like candles, like Crisco candles, lanterns, please be careful. Do your homework. Make sure that you are safe. Right? Because why in the world would you take a chance to heat your home just so that you can do something that you shouldn't have done and then something really bad happens? It's like I said on that video, whenever I have a candle or a lantern or anything that is using a biofuel, be it fuel or be it a candle or anything, whenever I have that on, I never leave the room. That's why I said that when I do that next video with those candeliers, with the Coleman candeliers, that I have to plan on being here at least a good 8 hours without leaving the bunker, because I will not leave a candle alone. And you have to take that very seriously, because you just never know what can happen. And you don't want to go to the bathroom or something, come back, and then your living room is all in flames. And then what good did it do you? It didn't do you any good whatsoever. So just be very careful. I wouldn't. If things got so bad, Cheryl, if things got so bad where I was heating a room with a candle or a lantern, then we would have to take shifts. You would have to have a fire watch. I'm being dead honest or dead serious when I tell you that. I would not leave it at all, not for 1 second. I mean, just think about that. I mean, me personally, we have cats, right? And we have dogs. Can you just imagine if you fall asleep and one of your cats or your dogs tips that thing over while you're sleeping? Just think about that. And even if you don't, here in Alaska, we get a little tremor every now and then. What happens if we have a little tremor? And it's just not a smart thing to do. If you ever have to rely on something like that to keep warm, you're going to need to take shifts with someone else as far as sleeping goes. Very good, B. Walker. Absolutely. I agree 100%. Know how to use your fire extinguisher. Don't just get them and throw them in a corner. Know how to use them. How you doing, our urban homestead? Good to see you. Let's see. Michael is doing really well, Crystal. Thank you for asking. He's getting so big. I actually took some video of him playing. Maybe I'll throw that into the ending of our next video that I put up here. Yeah, he's getting really big, and man, he just loves to play with his granddad. I'll tell you that. I'm not sure if I've heard of that. I might have. I just don't remember the name. If they're purification tablets, then yes, I've used purification tablets before. I don't like the way they taste at all. But I probably have. I just don't remember the name. Those purification tablets, man, they just taste. They don't taste good at all. But I mean, they work though. They do work. Oh, the R values trooper. It's what is it? So when I built the walls, this is actually up on a video. You can actually see the bunker without anything when I was building it up on a video. But I'll tell you, when I put up the walls, when I put up insulation, I put 2-inch foam on the. So this is the wall, right? Let's say that this is the wall with nothing on it. I put 2-inch foam, one layer, and then I put R13 on top of that. So I built the bunker using 6-inch 2x6s. All right, I use 2x6s for everything, for the wall, the ceiling, the floor. I use 2 by 4 by 4 inches thick, but I use multiple. But I put 2-inch foam and then R13. So 2-inch foam, I believe, is like 5.5 R per inch. So it's like 11 R for the 2-inch foam, and then 13. So it's like R24. After you throw in the plywood and all that stuff, it's like R26. All right, because believe it or not, plywood actually does have an R value to it. So it's about R26 on all the walls and the floor as well. And for R26, this little thing holds in heat pretty darn well. It really does. And my house is even more. My house is more than R26. I mean, on the floors, I got like R38. And the ceilings, I got more than R38. And the walls, I think I have R30 or something like that. I put as much insulation as I could all around. I did leave some little air gaps here and there, though, because my house doesn't have like central heating where it has a blower circulating the air. So I did leave a few drafts here and there, and it works great. I'll tell you that. I would say that I rather use the oxygen absorbers than to not use them, Sharon. So, I mean, depending on how long you want to preserve them for or have them for, would depend. Like if it was going to be a couple of years, then I would say, yeah, it's not that big of a deal to use them. But I've got some walnuts that I put away in 2013, and I do need to open that jar up on a video to show you all. I don't even know if they're good, tell you the truth. All I know is that my wife opened up a jar that was 2015, right? Should have opened up the 2013 one, but it was in the back. That was my fault. But the 2015 jar was just fine. So I'm assuming that 2013 jar is just fine as well. And I did use an oxygen absorber. I believe I did. I'm pretty sure I did. Starfire asked, my 5-gallon of rolled oats bucket caved in. What should I do? If it caved in because something hit it and it lost its seal, then just repackage it. But if you're talking about that it's sucked in, it may be because of the difference in temperatures. So either or, if it caved in, and in either way, if it lost its seal, repackage it. You can repackage it and it should be just fine, unless you just want to eat it, and that's fine as well. But you can definitely repackage it. Where are we at? Wow, ladies and gentlemen, we're already over an hour. I can't believe this. Time just flies, I'll tell you. Let me see. Well, Jeannie, I wouldn't cook over an open fire with an enamel cover like that. What I would rather do, if all you have is an enamel and you need to use it to cook outside, what I would do with it is, instead of cooking over an open fire, like you have a fire and you have the pot and all the fire is hitting it, I would just go ahead and let the fire burn down until you were able to cook on top of the embers. And that should work just fine. And I don't believe that would hurt your pot at all. Okay. Stephanie, I'm sure there are, but I have no idea. I actually have no idea. You know what? I have some of the Jace Medical antibiotics. Where are they? They're up there. And a company actually contacted me that does antibiotics as well. And that's the great thing about competition, ladies and gentlemen. See, Jace Medical came out with an awesome product. And like I said, I got myself some, just like a lot of other people did. But now you have like 2 or 3 other different companies competing with each other. That's good for you, right? You know, that's good for you. That's why I always say the free market is the best thing there is for the consumer, because now you have different companies competing with each other, trying to give you a better price. In my opinion, they can't really give you a better product, because pretty much all antibiotics are pretty much made in the same place or with the same ingredients that come from the same place. So it's pretty much the same product, but now they're competing with each other, see who can give you the best price, see who can give you the best packages. But they contacted me wanting me to get one of their packages. They're going to send me one of their packages for free so that I can review it. But I told them that I wanted to talk to them first to know exactly. I want to talk to someone there, and I want to, have a relationship, not just send it to me and then I'll review it and that's it. I do that with some things, but with antibiotics, I want to make sure that I talk to people. But just from looking at it, it looks like a really good deal. Like compared to Jace, it looks like a really good deal compared to how many treatments of each antibiotic you get. But anyways, that's just a teaser. I still have to call them. I'll probably call them next week and see what we come up with. But if the price that they're charging for the number of treatments that you get is right, then that's awesome. It's a really good deal. Never look back. I have an apocalypse wood stove, meaning that I have a small wood stove that I can actually heat my house with if I have to. But when I built my house, when my son and I built our house, I was kind of like in a hurry because I was getting out of the military and I was in a time crunch, and I didn't want to rent someplace and then move out of my military housing to a rental and then come here and then have to move everything all over again. So I built our house as simple as I possibly could with not really having much building experience at all, if any. And I really didn't make room in the floor plan to have a wood stove. There's like one spot in my entire house that we may be able to put one in. But when I say that I have an apocalypse wood stove, is because I have what I need in order to install that using a window insert unit that I would actually be able to exhaust my wood stove out through the window with the insert that I built, and then be able to heat my house with it. So I call it apocalypse because it's not an everyday wood stove. It's something that I would only set up in the worst case scenario. Hey, Maddie G, how you doing? It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. I'm throwing. Thank you. My kid was playing around and poured out a clot powder pocket. I bought them for $2.50 each 3 years ago. Now, yeah, I just bought some of those too. And look at this, ladies and gentlemen. 3 years ago, Maddie bought these. You're talking about the blood clot, right? Yeah, the blood clot packets for $2.50, and now they're twice as much. But no, there's no inflation. All right, thank you, Maddie. Yeah, there's no inflation. I think that 20 years from now, whoever's still here, we'll be talking about these days that we're living through right now. Okay, let me bring it down because I'm hitting a couple of the questions twice, which means that I'm falling far behind. Okay. That's awesome that you're all chatting with each other so much. I think that's great. Hey, how you doing, William? Good to see you. Let me see, David. I do believe that the national debt just surpassed like 31 trillion not too long ago. I think it's like 31.05 trillion or something like that, but it's over 31 trillion, which it doesn't really matter, ladies and gentlemen. The national debt doesn't matter whatsoever. What really matters is the interest rate, because the interest rate determines what it's going to cost to service that debt. All right, because the reason that I say that the national debt doesn't matter is because that debt can never, ever be paid off. It can never be paid off, ever, ever. The only thing that we can do with the national debt is service it. That's it. It is impossible, 100% impossible to pay off that debt. That's the way that the system was made, is so that that debt can never be paid off. And we, the citizens of these United States, will forever be enslaved and paying taxes towards the interest of that debt. And it was done that way on purpose. Redbeard, how you doing? Can't we just hijack all TV channels and please these videos? I mean, I guess we could. It would take a lot of manpower if we had the revolution. Yeah, you know what, Roscoe? I'm not picking either side because I never do. And you may have a point, Roscoe, on what you say here. But the thing is that when you take a look, yeah, I mean, I'll read what you said. Government is evil, but the Democrats are destroying this country in record time. Vote them out. Yes, I've often said that the system by which we are governed is we're on a train, and that train is going to hit the wall no matter who's in office. But dependent on who is in office, dependent on how fast that train goes. So you may have a party that's in office where that train is going 1,000 miles an hour, and you may have a party that's in office where that train is only going 100 miles an hour. It doesn't matter who's in there. The train is eventually going to hit the wall. I understand what you're saying, though. But the thing is that it doesn't matter who is in office. It really doesn't. It is the system that is rotten to the core. The system is what needs to be changed. And in order for the system to be changed, we have to start from scratch, right? We have to start with actually following the rule of law, which to a lot, if not most politicians, is starting from scratch because they wouldn't be there. If we were actually following the rule of law, most politicians would be behind bars. So in order for our country to continue to go on, I believe that we have to actually have a severe collapse where the politicians that are there now and the system by which we actually are governed now goes away. And the main part of the system by which we are governed now is the fiat currency. Because without fiat currency, a government has no power. When you think about it, fiat currency, for example, the Federal Reserve note, the ability to print money out of thin air is what gives a government power, because they can do stuff that you never voted for. Why? Because they don't need your tax dollars to do it with. They only tax you to keep you under control, to control you, right? Taxation is a way to manipulate your actions, your behavior. That's what taxation is. And it's also a way of taking your wealth and transferring it to someone else who didn't work for that wealth. So those are the two things that taxation does. It dictates what you're going to, how you behave, and it steals your wealth to give it to someone else. But they can always print more fiat currency on top of what they tax the people. So that allows them to get away with whatever they want to get away with. Well, if we have a sound money system, the people have the power, right? We have the power with gold and silver as a backing to the actual dollar, a dollar, not a Federal Reserve note, an actual dollar, a US dollar, right? Because two different things. Gold and silver, or at least a gold backing, it gives the people the power, because then we do have representation, because the government cannot spend any more than what they actually have. See, gold as a backing to the dollar actually keeps the government in check, and it gives a lot more power to the people. So, yeah, I mean, you could say the same thing about any party. It doesn't matter. What matters is that the system is rotten to the core. The foundation has been cracking for years, and eventually that foundation will fail. I mean, plain and simple. Let's see. All right. Let me see. We're going to start bringing it down because, let me see. Oh, look at this. Look at what Tonette says. Her firefighter son sees more house fires from candles than anything else. All right. I see someone here saying it's time for dinner. What time is it? It's time for dinner, so it's time to start calling it. Okay. Lynn, just take a look at a video that I put up where I was actually dry canning some pasta. It is extremely easy. All right. Go take a look at that video, because I tell you how much oxygen absorbers you need to use and everything. All right. It's very, very easy. And even if you don't have a vacuum say a food saver, you can still do it without one. Okay, I'm bringing it down, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, if any of you are new here, all right, I know we had a couple of new ones here earlier today. If you're still here, if you are new, if you've subscribed to the channel like within the last, let's say 2 weeks or so, and or this is your very first live stream, in all caps, put I am new after we do our Friday safety brief, okay? So once we do our Friday safety brief, in all caps, put I am new so we can shout you out and you can see your name in the screen. All right. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I know we're cutting it a little bit short today, but I do have to get going somewhere today. I have something to do. I was only going to do an hour today, but we're an hour and 15 minutes. So thank you very much for joining in. Listen, let's do our Friday safety brief because this is very important. I always start off by saying that you've worked very hard this week, and I'm sure that you deserve to have a great time. Go out there and have a great time, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you top off your preps. All right. It's Friday. Make sure you top off your tanks as well. All right. But make sure that if you drink, that you don't drive. And if you're going to drink, have a great time, all right, because you deserve it. But get a designated driver, take an Uber, take a cab, but just make it home to your family because I'm sure that they need you. Having said that, thank you very much for joining in today. I truly do appreciate every one of you. What is this? Steve Gray. Thank you, Steve Gray. Blessings to you as well. Thank you for that. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll see you on Sunday during our Sunday live stream at 9 a.m. Alaska time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Other than that, remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place. And you know that it will be a better place. Thank you very much to our awesome moderators. Thank you, ladies. Have a great weekend. I'm Alaska Prepper. I am out. God bless you all.
Bye.